Welcome to this very significant event for the people and the wildlife of the Connecticut River watershed. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm Wendy Weber. I am the Northeast Regional Director for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service based out of Hadley, Massachusetts. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is very proud to work with partners, states, and tribes to conserve the habitats and the natural resources of the Northeast, and particularly proud to work with all of you to conserve the natural resources of the Connecticut River Connecticut River in the watershed. Today's designation is credit to the collaboration of our many, many partners, working together as part of the Friends of the Silvio Conte National Wildlife Refuge, the Refuge manager, Andy French, thank you very much. And also a significant partner is the Connecticut River Watershed Council, celebrating 60 years. Today I have the privilege of introducing a great leader and a great conservationist, Secretary of Interior, Ken Salazar. Secretary Salazar, I gotta say just a couple things. Just a couple. He doesn't want me to say any more, but I really have to. Not only is the 50th secretary and started back in 2009 and been there in 3 years at Interior and has championed the 21st century conservation agenda for America, including his leadership of President Obama's America's Great Outdoors. America's Great Outdoors is working across communities to reconnect people, especially young people, to the outdoors and promote outdoor recreation and local economy. And as a mother of 2 boys, I couldn't be prouder to work for a better secretary. His dedication, his passion, and his devotion to natural resources and his vision out into the future to make it a better place, working with partners for generations to come, is an absolute pleasure and honor to work for him. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Secretary Salazar.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. I want you all to know that Wendy is here for a long time because we placed her in to be the Regional Director of the Northeast for the Fish and Wildlife Service. And she will be here for many, many years to come. And so she's going to make your vision that you've been working on a reality. We promise you that. Today, we are joined by leaders from Connecticut, Vermont, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire, many of whom are with me here, joined by Mayor Segura from the city of Hartford, and by my wonderful friends in the Congress, Senator Dick Blumenthal and Congressman Larson, and you will hear from them very briefly as we move forward through a very quick program here. But let me just say why I am here. We are here to celebrate one of the greatest rivers of America, and that's the Connecticut River. So today we will designate the Connecticut River We'll designate the Connecticut River and the more than 400 miles of the Connecticut River and its watershed as the first national blueway in the United States of America. This is a recognition of a 50-year effort which many of you have been working on long before I became Secretary of Interior. And you have brought this place from a time where 30, 40, 50 years ago, people would say that this was one of the most landscaped sewer systems in the United States of America. But as you have led here in this 4-state area, you have turned the consciousness and the eyes of the community in another way to embrace the river and the qualities of the river for what it does for economic development, for the communities up and down the river, for what it does for the fishing and recreational opportunities and the recreational industry that is so important to these 4 northeastern states. You, unlike many other places around the world and around the states, have put together the kind of partnership here that we need to celebrate and we need to emulate in other places around the country. For us, as we implement the President's directive on America's Great Outdoors and a 21st century conservation agenda, this week in particular, we are focused on the rivers of the United States. And so yesterday, we announced a new program that will help us move forward with the restoration of the Colorado River Basin and the 7 states that depend on that mighty river in the Colorado. We've designated another 50 rivers around the country where we are focused on major restoration efforts. But today, here in this very, very special place, where I am honored to make this the second time that I have visited this place, we are going to not only designate the Connecticut River as a national blueway, but we're going to initiate, under the authorities of the United States of America, a national blueway system. And this Connecticut River will be the first river inaugurated into that system. I know from your mayor, from the members of the Senate who I work with so closely on so many issues, from members of the House of Representatives like Congressman Larson, that among the people of our country, and the President very much agrees with this, economics are what we need to be focused on right now here domestically. We've gone from a point where we had the cathartic experience of being near a second Great Depression just 3 years ago. We were losing at the beginning of 2009 800,000 jobs a month. We've reversed that, and we're coming back, and we've had continued growth now for the last 26 months, and we're adding over 100,000 jobs, and some of these months have been 200,000 jobs to the economy. We still have a long ways to go, but we are comfortable that we are moving in the right direction. When you look at what we do with conservation and outdoor recreation and tourism, it also is very much a cornerstone of that economic agenda. We believe that between now and 2021, that we can create another 2.2 to 3.3 million jobs through tourism and through outdoor recreation. And so for the President, Secretary Bryson, and I have developed a national tourism strategy to achieve that. But the outdoor recreational industry is very much a part of that world. Our own independent estimates indicate that somewhere between 7 million and 9 million jobs a year are created through outdoor recreation. You see it up and down the Connecticut River. You see it through the bikers, the hikers, the hunters in the watershed, all of the people who use this great place, that they recognize that it is an economic engine. So today, yes, it's a celebration of one of the great life streams of our nation in terms of what life comes from the Connecticut River. But it also is a celebration, really, of job creation and the opportunity that comes with the kind of restoration efforts that you have here on the Connecticut River. And with that, it is my honor to turn it over to Senator Dick Blumenthal, whom I knew for a very long time as one of my mentors as Attorney General when he served the great state of Connecticut for many years as Attorney General, and he's doing a great job for all of you as the United States Senator for the state of Connecticut. Dick Blumenthal.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been very proud to be a colleague of Ken Salazar's and to follow him to the United States Senate. In fact, to inherit, literally inherit, the office he had when he was a United States Senator. And my goal in life is to have a job where I can go to work every day dressed like he is today. But unfortunately, coats and ties are required on the floor of the Senate, as he knows. I want to thank him for his leadership, his profoundly significant leadership by example throughout his life, and most especially today, when he brings us together, as the Connecticut River has always done, bringing people of New England together to see what they have in common. Rivers sometimes divide two shores, but truly the Connecticut River has always brought New England together, and it does again today. Today is really a breakthrough moment, a historic step in recognizing a national treasure that we have an obligation to keep as stewards for ourselves and for future generations. And Connecticut and Hartford have been at the lead of recapturing this river. Truly, riverfront recapture led by Joe Refuge, who is here today. Thank you for your great leadership, Joe. You have been at the forefront of this effort. Joe's leadership, I think, says something profound about Connecticut, but also about Hartford, Connecticut's capital city. And thank you, Mayor Segarra, for your leadership. You have been stalwart and steadfast in this effort. Today, we say to each other and to the world that we will not drift down the river. We will fight upstream if necessary to preserve this national treasure, not only for New England, but for the nation. And I can pledge to you that I will fight as long and hard as necessary to fulfill today's promise with the kinds of resources and commitment that are necessary to overcome whatever the odds, whatever the opponents, and to make sure that Blueway is truly a pathway forward, taking the best of our past and making sure that we preserve it not just as a point of recreation or a symbol, but truly a working river. This river is a working river. It's not just for show. People use it and love it because it is so much a life stream, truly, as the Secretary said, a life stream for New England and for the nation. Thank you. And, of course, I'm still new at my job, so I don't get all the cues correct. But I was supposed to introduce really one of my heroes, a great leader in environmental preservation and in so many areas for Connecticut and for the Hartford area, our Congressman John Larson.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Dick, again, and for laying out very eloquently how proud we are today in the state of Connecticut and how extraordinary grateful we are to have a commissioner and of our state and our governor who cares so deeply about the environment, and to have a secretary who, now this is his second visit in 9 months. The first time he visited here, the mayor and I and the senator had him up to the top of the Coltsville building, a Colt manufacturer. Soon after he was there, and we came here and had an opportunity to meet with Joe Marfucci as well. When he went back to Washington, D.C., we got notice of his personal support for Coltsville being named a National Historic Park. And we're most grateful for that as well. Can't thank you enough for that, Secretary. And with Dick's leadership in the Senate, I know it's going to happen. So, but it is, a river runs through us and connects us. And we're very proud of the great history. And we all know that the great heritage behind the Connecticut River as well. We're proud that we are the constitutional state. And so we're, pretty comfortable with being first in a number of areas, Mr. Secretary. But indeed, what a great honor. And the collaboration here, bringing people together. In this administration of Barack Obama, that's what it's been about. Sometimes not always met with the kind of results that we'd like, but nonetheless always persevering and recognizing that we gain so much more when we recognize what we can achieve by working together. This is a very important moment for us in our history and for our rivers and our environment and for the people of our great nation. The Blueway system is something that's going to catch on across this nation, and it's great to see that resources will be put in to go along with the countless years of dedication by so many volunteers, not only here in Connecticut, but across this nation, who understand that a river runs through us and connects us all. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you very much, Secretary Salazar. And now it's my opportunity to introduce the Deputy Secretary of the United States Army. We do have a few dike issues I'd like to talk to you about afterwards as well. I know the mayor would like to have yours, but it's not often that you get to introduce somebody whose name is Rock Salt. So it's my great honor to introduce Terrence Rocksalt, the Deputy Assistant of the Army. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you, Senator. I'm certainly proud to be here with all great, very distinguished folks on the podium. I would just say that it's a watershed. You can't have a watershed Blueway without the water guys. And on behalf of the Corps of Engineers, Colonel Samaras and his team, I encourage any of you to hook up with the Colonel. We are proud to be part of this. We're proud of the leadership of Secretary Salazar. And we're proud to join with you as we try and realize this great dream that we're celebrating today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Cummins, and I'm chairman of the Friends of Conte and also director of bird conservation of Audubon, Connecticut. First of all, I'd like to thank Secretary Salazar for his vision and foresight in recognizing the Connecticut River watershed as the nation's first national blueway. I'd also like to thank Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Larson for joining us here today, along with all the distinguished company that I'm up here with. It's quite humbling to be up here with in such company. The Friends of Conte is all about partnerships, and this designation is testament to the power of those partnerships. When the Friends speak, it is the collective voice of over 40 conservation, environmental education, and outdoor recreation organizations and institutions and businesses as well, including local groups all the way up to national organizations. Apparently, when we speak, people listen. Audubon is thrilled to be part of this, and I am honored to serve as chair of the Friends of Conte. This designation is also testament to the beauty and the ecological importance of this watershed that we like to call New England's Grand Canyon. The 7.2 million acre watershed comprises portions of 4 states and 1 province. It includes New England's highest peaks, continentally significant forest blocks, spectacular floodplain forests that have been documented as an avian superhighway for neotropical migrant birds, and internationally recognized wetlands of global significance, Ramsar wetlands in the lower reaches of the river, and a globally important tidal marsh system at the mouth of the river, and over 20 important bird areas. And oh, by the way, 2.4 million people live within this watershed. It also includes 2 national forests, the portions of the Appalachian Trail and the New England Scenic Trail, and, of course, the nation's most important national fish and wildlife refuge, the Silvio O National Fish and Wildlife Refuge. This designation would have made Congressman Conte very proud. A big step in fulfilling his vision of a river and watershed that supported healthy populations of fish and other wildlife, and could serve as a recreational destination for the residents of New England and an environmental education laboratory. Now, thanks to the Secretary's vision and all of the members of the federal family, his dream is coming true, and this is a national blueway, watershed blueway. This offers us the opportunity for increased resources to keep it the ecological gem that it is today. On behalf of all of the Friends of Conte, we look forward to working with the Secretary and the entire federal family and other partners to see this vision through and conserve the Connecticut River watershed and make our contribution to America's great outdoors. Thank you.
We're going to sign the order, but before I sign the order, I would ask you to also recognize the 4-state effort endorsed by all the 4 governors. And today from the state of Massachusetts, Rick Sullivan is also with us. He's the director of the Department of Natural Resources and Energy in Massachusetts. Give him a round of applause. And the state of Connecticut, obviously represented here by the senator, the congressman, but the governor also strongly supportive of this effort, and today represented here by Susan Frechette. Give her a round of applause. Both the states of Vermont and New Hampshire are very much present. Representatives who are here. Last year, I remember spending time with Senator Lay in Vermont and having him comment at the Patrick Lay and Marcel Lay Environmental Center in Burlington about the importance of the Connecticut River and being strongly behind these whole efforts on this watershed. Let me also say that behind me is Jay Marr, who is with the National Resource Conservation Service here in New Hampshire, the United States Department of Agriculture. This is not just an interior effort, as Rock Salt said. This is a whole of government, which is something that President Obama has directed us to work on through the America's Great Outdoors. And so Secretary Vilsack, the NRCS, the U.S. Forest Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, we're all in this together, united to making sure that we make all of this happen. And I think I have introduced everybody back here, right? I have, and obviously you're great, Mayor Segura. Give him another round of applause. We'll go ahead and we'll sign it. We'll make it official. Now, the order has been signed. This other order is basically an order that says the designation of the Connecticut River National Blueway, designating the Connecticut River and its watershed as the nation's first national blueway. It is done.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much.
Just a word on these systems and how they are created and how they operate. If one looks back at the National Landscape Conservation System, which is on the Bureau of Land Management lands, we have about 27 million acres now that are part of the National Landscape Conservation System. They include some of the most beautiful national conservation areas in the world. And it started out exactly through a secretarial order just like this. And then on one of the first acts of the Congress and the President in February of 2009, we made that into a statutory program. So I expect great things to happen with the National Blueway system in the years and decades ahead, and today was the first step. Thank you all very much.